I kissed Marcus, and I don't regret it, Zoe declared, defiance in her eyes as she faced Landon. His calm smile chilled her. Good, because Sarah caught it all on video. She's outside, waiting to talk. Zoe's heart stopped as the door creaked open, and her lies began to unravel. Zoe, 32, woke to the buzz of her phone at 7 a.m. in their Austin, Texas home. She silenced it quickly, not wanting to disturb Landon, 34, who slept beside her, his steady breathing a contrast to her restless mind. Slipping out of bed, she padded to the kitchen, started the coffee maker, and popped bread into the toaster. Landon's routine was predictable. Coffee, toast, a quick kiss before he left for his tech consulting job. Their marriage, 5 years strong, was a well-oiled machine. Weekly taco nights, shared playlists, plans for a family. But Zoe, a part-time yoga instructor, felt a hollow ache. The thrill of her 20s, when she chased dreams and danced on the edge of chaos, had faded into this safe, steady life. She poured coffee, her gaze drifting to her phone. Instagram glowed on the screen, a habit she indulged while Landon showered. Scrolling past yoga poses and foodie posts, she froze. A suggested profile, Marcus Vega, her college ex. His name hit like a spark. Without thinking, she typed, "Hey, long time. How's life in Miami?" and hit send. Her pulse quickened, a mix of guilt and excitement. She tucked the phone away as Landon emerged, briefcase in hand. "Big day?" she asked, handing him his mug. "Client pitch," he said, kissing her cheek. "You okay? You seem off." "Just tired," she lied, forcing a smile. He nodded, trusting her, and left for work. Marcus replied by noon. "Zoe Harper? No way. Still breaking hearts in Austin?" His words carried that old, reckless charm. She laughed, typing back. "Married now, but Austin's treating me fine." The chat stretched through lunch. Memories of college flooding back. Late-night drives, stolen kisses, fights that burned hot and fast. Marcus was a photographer now, living free in Miami. No ring, no ties. Zoe's fingers hovered over her phone, her heart tugging between loyalty and curiosity. By evening, their messages grew bolder. "Remember that trip to Galveston?" Marcus wrote. "You danced in the rain, and I couldn't look away." Zoe's cheeks flushed. She hadn't felt that alive in years. Landon came home, tossing his keys on the counter. "Good day?" he asked, loosening his tie. "Same old," she said, slipping her phone into her pocket. That night, she lay awake beside him, her mind replaying Marcus's words. Days passed, and the messages became a secret ritual. Zoe checked her phone during yoga classes, hiding smiles as Marcus sent voice notes, his voice low and teasing. "Austin's too small for you, Zoe. You were always bigger than that." She told herself it was harmless, just nostalgia. But when Marcus texted, "I'm in Austin next week for a shoot. Coffee?" her stomach flipped. She agreed, telling Landon she was meeting Sarah, her yoga friend, for a catch-up. At the coffee shop, Marcus leaned across the table, his eyes locking onto hers. "You haven't changed," he said, brushing her hand. The touch sent a jolt through her. They talked for hours, laughter spilling over old stories. When he walked her to his car, he paused, then kissed her, quick, urgent, forbidden. Zoe pulled back, breathless, but didn't stop him. "This is crazy," she whispered. "Crazy's your style," he said, grinning. She drove home, heart pounding, telling herself it was a one-time slip. But it wasn't. The next day, Marcus texted again, suggesting a quiet bar downtown. Zoe hesitated, then lied to Landon about a late yoga class. At the bar, Marcus ordered drinks, his hand grazing her knee. She felt desired, alive, like the girl she used to be. They kissed again, longer this time, in the shadows of the parking lot. "Come with me tomorrow," he urged. "I'm shooting a lake house. No one will know." Zoe nodded, ignoring the warning in her gut. Meanwhile, Sarah, who'd always envied Zoe's charm, noticed her absence from yoga. Curious, she drove by the bar, spotting Zoe's car. Peering through the window, she saw them, Zoe laughing, Marcus leaning close. Sarah's jaw tightened. She'd crushed on Marcus in college, but he'd chosen Zoe. Now, seeing them together, her old jealousy flared. She pulled out her phone, hit record, and captured their kiss, her fingers trembling with spite. That night, Zoe slipped into bed beside Landon, her mind racing. He stirred, reaching for her hand. "Late class, huh?" he murmured. "Yeah," she whispered, guilt choking her. As she closed her eyes, her phone buzzed under her pillow. Marcus, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Don't back out. She deleted the message, but sleep didn't come. She didn't know Sarah's video was already on its way to Landon's phone, or that her perfect life was about to crack wide open. Zoe woke to her phone's soft ping, her heart leaping as Marcus's message lit up the screen. Lake House, 10 a.m. You in? She glanced at Landon, still asleep, his arm draped across the pillow. Guilt gnawed, but the pull of Marcus was stronger. She typed, I'm in, and slipped out of bed, her bare feet silent on the hardwood. In the kitchen, she scribbled a note for Landon. Early yoga retreat with Sarah? Back tonight. She left it by the coffee maker, grabbed her keys, and drove to meet Marcus, her pulse racing with a mix of dread and anticipation. The lake house, a rented Airbnb outside Austin, was tucked among cedar trees. Marcus greeted her with a grin, camera slung over his shoulder. You made it, he said, pulling her into a hug that lingered too long. They spent the morning pretending he was working, but the photo shoot was a flimsy excuse. By noon, they were tangled in each other, kissing on a couch in the empty house. Zoe's phone stayed on silent, ignored in her bag. This feels right, Marcus whispered, his hand tracing her arm. She nodded, pushing away thoughts of Landon's trusting smile. Back home, Landon found the note. He frowned, noticing Zoe's yoga bag still in the closet. His phone buzzed, a message from Sarah, no subject. He opened it, and a video played. Zoe and Marcus, lips locked in a bar parking lot. His jaw tightened, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he forwarded the video to a private investigator he'd used for a work case, adding, dig into this guy. Fust. Landon poured his coffee, his mind sharp, calculating. He wouldn't confront Zoe yet, not without proof. Zoe's meetings with Marcus grew reckless. She skipped yoga classes, claiming schedule conflicts, and met him in motels or quiet cafes. Each time, she told Landon she was with Sarah or at a workshop. Marcus fed her compliments, calling her his muse, urging her to live bolder. You're wasting away in that marriage, he said one afternoon, sipping a beer in a dive bar. Zoe laughed, but his words sank in. She started noticing Landon's habits, the way he checked his work email at dinner, his predictable goodnight kiss. Her life with him felt like a cage she hadn't seen before. Sarah, meanwhile, seethed. She'd sent the video to Landon, expecting an explosion, but his silence unnerved her. She followed Zoe again, this time to a motel off I-35. From her car, she snapped photos of Zoe and Marcus slipping inside, her resentment boiling. Sarah had always been the runner-up in their friend group, overshadowed by Zoe's charm. Now, she saw a chance to even the score. She saved the photos, planning her next move, her fingers itching to send them to Landon. Marcus's charm began to crack. One day, he asked Zoe for $2,000, claiming his camera gear was stuck in a payment dispute. I'll pay you back, he promised, his eyes earnest. Zoe hesitated, then transferred the money from her and Landon's joint savings, telling herself it was a loan. Days later, he asked for more, spinning a story about a canceled gig. She paid again, her bank balance dwindling. Marcus grew bolder, suggesting she invest $10,000 in a surefire photography project. It'll triple in weeks, he said, showing her a fake contract. Zoe, caught in the rush of their affair, agreed, wiring the funds without a second thought. Landon's PI delivered results. Marcus Vega had a trail of scams, fake investments, unpaid debts, even an alias in Miami. The PI also flagged Zoe's recent bank transfers. Landon sat at his desk, staring at the report, his calm exterior hiding a storm. He installed a tracking app on their shared iPad, confirming Zoe's trips to motels and lake houses, not yoga retreats. He saved every piece of evidence, his resolve hardening. Zoe wasn't just cheating, she was funding a con man. One evening, Zoe returned home, her face flushed from another secret meetup. Landon was on the couch, scrolling through his phone. Good retreat, he asked, his tone neutral. Zoe froze, caught off guard. Yeah, it was intense, she stammered, avoiding his eyes. She didn't notice the way he studied her, or the message he sent to Sarah. Meet me tomorrow. Bring everything. Landon knew the truth was closing in, and he was ready to lay it bare. Zoe's phone buzzed as she climbed into bed. Marcus, need one more favor. $5,000. Emergency. Her stomach twisted, but she didn't reply. Doubt crept in. Why was he always broke? She pushed it aside, telling herself she'd deal with it tomorrow. As she lay beside Landon, His steady breathing felt like a countdown. She didn't know Sarah was meeting Landon at a coffee shop in the morning, or that her lives were hours away from crashing down. Landon sat in a corner booth in Austin coffee shop, his laptop open, waiting for Sarah. His fingers tapped the table, betraying the calm he projected. Sarah arrived, clutching her phone, her eyes darting nervously. "You got my message?" she asked, sliding into the seat. Landon nodded, his voice low. "Show me everything." She hesitated, then opened a folder of photos. Zoe and Marcus at the motel, their hands intertwined, slipping through a door. Landon's jaw clenched, but he stayed composed. "Anything else?" he pressed. Sarah slid a USB drive across the table. Video from the bar. And her texts. "I hacked her iCloud." Landon pocketed the drive, his mind racing. "Why do this?" he asked. Sarah shrugged, bitterness lacing her words. "Zoe always got what I wanted. Not this time." Back home, Zoe woke late, her phone dead from last night's flurry of messages with Marcus. She plugged it in, ignoring the sinking feeling in her gut. Marcus had pushed for another $5,000, claiming a client stiffed him. She hadn't sent it yet, but her savings were nearly gone. $12,000 drained in weeks. She drove to a diner to meet him, hoping to confront him about the money. Marcus was late, texting, caught in traffic. "Be there soon." Zoe ordered coffee, her nerves fraying as she checked her bank app. Another withdrawal, $3,000, had vanished overnight. Her hand shook. Had Marcus accessed her account? Landon, meanwhile, met his private investigator at a park bench. The PI handed over a dossier on Marcus, a history of fraud, fake identities, and a pending warrant in Florida. "He's been bleeding your wife dry," the PI said, pointing to bank records linking Marcus to Zoe's transfers. Landon's eyes narrowed. He thanked the PI, then called his lawyer, instructing her to draft divorce papers and freeze their joint accounts. "No access for Zoe until this is settled," he said, his voice steady but cold. He wasn't just protecting his money. He was building a case. Zoe waited an hour at the diner. Marcus, a no-show. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Check your email." She opened her inbox, finding a video file from Sarah. Her heart stopped as it played. Her and Marcus kissing in his car, then entering the motel. The email read, "Landon knows. Good luck." Zoe's breath caught. She dialed Marcus, but his number was disconnected. Panic surged. She sped home, her mind spinning with excuses, but the truth was closing in. Landon was already there, sitting at the kitchen table, the USB drive plugged into his laptop. Zoe burst through the door, words tumbling out. "Landon, I can explain." He cut her off, turning the screen toward her. The video looped, her betrayal in high definition. "I kissed Marcus, and I don't regret it," she'd said in a moment of bravado, recorded by Sarah's hidden lens. Landon's eyes met hers, calm but unyielding. "Good, because Sarah caught it all. She's outside, waiting to talk." Zoe froze, her gaze darting to the window. Sarah's car idled in the driveway, her silhouette visible. "Landon, please," Zoe stammered, stepping closer. He held up a hand, stopping her. "You've been funding a con man. Our savings gone. I've got the proof." He slid a bank statement across the table, highlighting Marcus's transfers. Zoe's knees buckled. She sank into a chair, her world collapsing. "I didn't know," she whispered, but Landon wasn't listening. He stood, pulling a suitcase from the closet. "Pack. You're out tonight." Sarah knocked, her presence a final blow. Landon opened the door, letting her in. "Tell her," he said, his tone flat. Sarah smirked, holding up her phone. "I sent him everything, Zoe. You thought you could sneak around? I saw it all." Zoe's face burned with shame and rage. "You were my friend," she snapped. Sarah laughed coldly. "Friends don't steal what's mine. Marcus was my dream first." The room fell silent, the weight of her betrayal crushing Zoe. Landon handed Zoe the divorce papers, already signed. "My lawyer has the rest. You'll hear from her tomorrow." He stepped outside, leaving Zoe and Sarah alone. Zoe lunged for Sarah's phone, desperate to delete the evidence, but Sarah yanked it back. "Too late," she taunted. Zoe's eyes welled up, but she didn't cry. She grabbed a suitcase, stuffing it with clothes, her hands trembling. Marcus had disappeared, Sarah had stabbed her in the back, and Landon's trust was gone. She had nowhere to go. As Zoe dragged the suitcase to her car, Landon watched from the porch, his face unreadable. Sarah drove off, her victory hollow. Zoe sat behind the wheel, staring at the house she'd called home. Her phone pinged, a bank alert confirming another unauthorized withdrawal. Marcus had cleaned her out. She slammed the dashboard, her scream muffled by the car's windows. The truth hit hard. She'd traded everything for a lie. Zoe drove away from the Austin house, her suitcase rattling in the back seat. The city lights blurred through her tears as she headed to Houston, her sister Mia's apartment her only refuge. She hadn't spoken to Mia in years, their bond strained by old arguments, but she had no one else. She parked outside Mia's rundown complex, sent a text, "Can I crash? It's bad," and waited. Mia replied, "Doors open." Zoe hauled her suitcase up the stairs, each step heavier than the last. Mia greeted her with a nod, no questions, and pointed to a worn couch. "Sleep there. We'll talk tomorrow." Zoe lay awake, replaying the confrontation. Landon's cold evidence, Sarah's smug betrayal, Marcus's disappearance with her money, $15,000 gone. She checked her phone, hoping for a message from him, but found only bank alerts, zero balance. Her email pinged with divorce papers from Landon's lawyer, demanding her signature by week's end. She scrolled through old texts with Marcus, searching for clues, but his number was still dead. Reality sank in. She'd been played, and her marriage was over. Morning came, and Mia brewed coffee, her silence louder than any lecture. "What did you do?" she finally asked, setting a mug down. Zoe confessed in fragments. The affair, the money, Sarah's video. Mia listened, then sighed. "You had it all, Zoe. Why?" Zoe had no answer, only shame. Mia handed her a laptop. "Find a job. You're not mooching." Zoe nodded, opening job boards. She applied for a cashier position at a Houston bookstore, her first real job hunt in years. The application felt like a small rebellion against her collapse. Days later, Zoe started at the bookstore, ringing up paperbacks for minimum wage. Customers barely noticed her, but the work kept her mind off Marcus. She blocked his number, though part of her still hoped he'd explain. At night, she crashed on Mia's couch, scrolling through social media. Sarah had posted a cryptic story, a selfie with a smirk, captioned, "Karma's real." Zoe's stomach churned. She wanted to confront her, but what was the point? Sarah had won, and Zoe had lost everything. Landon, back in Austin, moved forward with surgical precision. He met his lawyer to finalize the divorce, ensuring Zoe got nothing from their joint assets. The PI tracked Marcus to a Miami address, but he'd vanished again, likely with Zoe's money. Landon didn't care about the cash. He wanted closure. He boxed up Zoe's remaining belongings, donating most to a local shelter. At work, he threw himself into projects, his colleagues unaware of the storm he'd weathered. When a coworker asked about Zoe, he shrugged. "She's gone. I'm good." Zoe's days blurred into a grind. The bookstore job barely covered her phone bill, and Mia's patience thinned. One evening, Zoe found a letter in her suitcase, slipped in by Landon before she left. It was from their engagement, written in his neat handwriting. "You're stronger than you know, Zoe. Don't let anyone dim that." Her chest tightened. She'd ignored his faith in her, chasing Marcus's empty promises. She tucked the letter away, vowing to prove it wasn't too late. Desperate for stability, Zoe enrolled in an online accounting course, studying at night on Mia's borrowed laptop. The numbers and spreadsheets grounded her, a stark contrast to Marcus's lies. She started a blog, starting over, posting raw entries about her mistakes. A few readers commented, sharing their own stories of betrayal. The connection, however small, sparked hope. She saved every paycheck, scraping together enough for a deposit on a tiny studio apartment. When Mia saw the lease, she gave a rare smile. "About time you grew up." Zoe tried reaching out to Landon, drafting an apology email but deleted it. His lawyer's latest notice was clear. No contact, only signatures. She signed the divorce papers, her hands steady but heavy. The finality stung, but she didn't fight it. She'd burned that bridge herself. Still, Marcus's betrayal gnawed at her. She contacted a fraud investigator, sharing the fake contract and bank records. The investigator warned her recovery was unlikely, but filed a report. Zoe didn't expect justice. She just wanted to act. One night, scrolling through her blog comments, Zoe saw a message from an anonymous user. "Check Miami PD records. Vega's in custody." Her heart raced. She searched online, finding a news article. "Marcus arrested for fraud. caught trying to scam another woman. The article mentioned a pending case tied to her bank transfers. It wasn't her money back, but it was something. She closed the laptop, a weight lifting. Marcus was gone, Landon was moving on, and she was alone, but not broken. Zoe woke in her Houston studio apartment. The hum of traffic outside her window, a stark contrast to Austin's quiet suburbs. She rolled off the narrow mattress, brewed instant coffee, and checked her email. A court summons arrived. Marcus's fraud case listed her as a victim. She exhaled, knowing testifying meant facing him again. She dressed quickly, grabbed her notebook, and headed to her bookstore job, determined to keep moving forward. Her blog, starting over, now had 500 followers, their comments urging her to stay strong. At the bookstore, Zoe shelved novels, her hands steadier than they'd been in months. A customer, an older woman, recognized her from a blog. "Your post about losing everything. It hit me," she said, buying a self-help book. Zoe smiled, her first genuine one in weeks. The interaction fueled her. She spent her lunch break drafting a new blog post, detailing how she'd trusted the wrong person but was learning to trust herself. Posting it felt like shedding a weight she'd carried too long. In Austin, Landon finalized the divorce. He signed the last document at his lawyer's office, the pen gliding without hesitation. His life had shifted, new projects at work, weekend hikes with friends, a tentative date with a coworker who shared his love for sci-fi. He didn't hate Zoe, he pitied her. He donated the last of her forgotten belongings, a scarf, a journal, to a thrift store, closing that chapter. When a friend asked if he'd heard from her, he shook his head. "She's not my story anymore." Zoe boarded a bus to Miami for Marcus's hearing, her stomach knotted. The courtroom was stark, filled with restless defendants and tired lawyers. Marcus sat in an orange jumpsuit, his charm gone, eyes avoiding hers. She took the stand, voice steady, recounting how he'd conned her out of $15,000 with a fake investment. The prosecutor presented her bank records, tying Marcus to a string of scams. He pleaded guilty, facing 3 years. Zoe left the courthouse, feeling no triumph, only closure. She'd spoken her truth. Back in Houston, Zoe's accounting course demanded late nights, but she aced her first exam. Her professor emailed, suggesting she apply for a bookkeeping internship at a local nonprofit. Zoe submitted her resume, nervous but hopeful. The interview went well. They valued her honesty about her past. She landed the internship, a step above the bookstore's minimum wage. For the first time, she paid her rent with her own earnings, texting Mia a photo of the receipt. Mia replied, "Proud of you. Keep going." Sarah's life unraveled differently. Her Instagram posts grew sparse after Zoe's blog gained traction. Readers connected the dots, calling out her betrayal in comments. Sarah tried messaging Zoe, claiming she'd only wanted to help, but Zoe blocked her. A mutual friend told Zoe that Sarah's yoga studio lost clients, her reputation tarnished by whispers of spite. Zoe didn't gloat. She knew karma didn't need her help. She focused on her blog, now monetized with small ad revenue, enough to buy a used laptop. One evening, sorting through her studio's closet, Zoe found Landon's engagement letter again. She read it, his words about her strength echoing differently now. She didn't cry. She folded it carefully, placing it in a drawer. It wasn't about longing for him. It was a reminder of who she could be. She opened her blog and wrote a final post about her marriage, admitting her betrayal and honoring Landon's self-respect. "I lost him because I lost myself," she typed. "Now I'm finding me." The post went viral, shared by thousands. Zoe declined to pursue Marcus's case further. The court awarded her no restitution, but she didn't care. Money wasn't her goal anymore. She volunteered at a community center, teaching basic budgeting to young women, sharing her mistakes as lessons. One night, a teen thanked her, saying, "You make me believe I can start over." Zoe nodded, her throat tight. She wasn't fixed, but she was building something real. Landon heard about Zoe's blog through a coworker. He read her latest post, his expression softening. He didn't reply, but he felt a quiet respect. She was trying, and that was enough. He moved into a new apartment, hung a star chart on the wall, and planned a solo trip to Colorado. His life was his own again. Zoe walked home from the bookstore, the Houston skyline glowing. She stopped at a food truck, treating herself to a taco with her own money. Her phone buzzed, a notification from her blog's first sponsor, offering a partnership. She smiled, replying, "Let's talk." The road ahead was long, but she wasn't running from it. She'd learned love wasn't a thrill. It was steady, like the life she was crafting, one choice at a time.